Well, good afternoon, but before you start, I want to just introduce a few folks that maybe some of you folks in the media may have questions for that are our different department directors, and I wanted to introduce them. That way you know who you may want to ask questions later for follow-up. And wanted to introduce Sanja Bugay, our Social Services Director, Susan Holt, Behavioral Health Director, Stephen White, he's our Public Works Director, Bernard Jimenez, who's our Assistant Director, is here as well, David Lucchini, Public Health Director, and Fresno Sheriff's Department. Which one? Okay, well, they're the guys in the uniform. They didn't give me their names. So, okay. With that, I'd like to start, please, and thank everyone for attending. All questions will be taken after the speakers are done. And speaking today will be Graham Krause, Corporate Executive Officer of the California State Association of Counties. Welcome, and thank you for being here today. And you'll be talking about the action the board took in support of the Home Plan, a statewide plan to address homelessness in a collaborative manner. Our next will be our County Administrative Officer, Paul Nerland, and Amina Flores-Becker, Deputy County Administrative Officer, will briefly identify the various efforts of the county to address homelessness over the last 5 years, which include our various departments and several partners in our community-based organization. Our board members will also say a few words about today's votes. And wanted to thank my colleagues here today and for the great work that they've worked in putting words into action on a lot of the issues that we have related to homelessness. Right now, I'd like to ask Mr. Graham Knauss, CEO of the California Association of Counties, to come and talk about the action the board just took to support the at-home plan, a statewide plan to address homelessness in a collaborative manner. So with that, Mr. Knauss.
Thank you very much, Chairman Quintero. I appreciate that very much. Today is a very important day in the state of California and in Fresno County related to homelessness. This board should be applauded for taking a very proactive step to improve the state in communities relative to homelessness. What is lacking in California is lacking in every other state in the country, which is a real system to address homelessness with clear responsibilities from all levels of government. That includes the state, it includes the county, and it includes cities as well. That does not exist. And until it does, we will fail as a state. The action that this board took today follows a number of actions and leadership that they've been employed in over the past several years to improve homelessness in their community, to work collaboratively with community partners. The at-home plan that the board endorsed includes accountability, clear responsibilities for all levels of government, aligned to funding and aligned to accountability and authority. Transparency, data so that we know what's working and what isn't working and can make adjustments accordingly. Housing, which is about housing shelters. It's about homelessness shelters. It's about transitional housing and permanent supportive housing, which is so critically needed in communities. Outreach, which is both about the workforce necessary in order to carry out services, and it's about that emergency response system when someone falls into homelessness. Mitigation, which is health and human services, primarily behavioral health. So critical in California. Counties serve as the provider of health and human services on behalf of the state and federal governments. We must have a robust safety net system to address this issue. And then finally, economic opportunity. Pathways out of homelessness, pathways out of poverty that include education, that include career support, and recognition that some individuals have such a severe disability, they are not going to be self-sufficient in the future, and we must address that. At Home, at its core, is about bringing all entities to the table. The state with an ongoing funding commitment and investment, clarity about what should be done in communities in terms of outcomes to be pursued, and who should be pursuing and leading those. And then leaving it to local government to figure out how. And that is the role of the county, that is the role of cities, and that is the role of what we are calling for, which is a county-wide plan, one unified plan to address homelessness in a comprehensive way in this community. That is exactly what we are seeking to do. And the coalition that this board has just joined is broadening every single day, with folks supporting it from business, from labor, from continuums of care, counties, and beyond. And it will continue to grow because this issue demands action now. And so we're seeking and asking for the state to, as part of its state budget process, to include statutory language defining responsibilities linked to an ongoing funding commitment so that this issue can be addressed and California can serve as a model, much like this board has in the community in Fresno. With that, I want to introduce and bring over the CEO, Paul Nerlin, who's going to share, and Deputy CAO, Amina Flores-Becker, who are going to talk about the specific work that this county has been doing to lead on this issue. Paul and Amina.
Good afternoon. I want to thank you for being here today. And first, I want to just say thank you to Graham for being here, and also just give credit to our Board of Supervisors as just demonstrating leadership on the critical issue of homelessness in our community. The county has been a leader in this area, continues to be a leader. Several years ago, in 2019, this board adopted 15 priorities that were also adopted, 14, I'm sorry, by our 15 incorporated cities. They were later consolidated to 7. And this kind of leadership is the kind of collaboration that we really need across this community. When I joined the county administrative office in 2021, this board knew and had already identified homelessness as a critical issue. And so they demonstrated that by creating a position that was dedicated to that issue. In a moment, you're going to hear from the person who's sitting in that role today. The biggest lessons that the county has learned to date working on the issue of homelessness is that we must solve this together. No one entity can solve this without the collaboration and support of the other. And so today, we have a multitude of departments who work on this. We have CBOs that we work closely with, but as was said today, it takes the state, the city, and the county all working together, playing off the same sheet music, if you will. As a county, our goal is effective, efficient, sustainable, and transparent services toward the homeless. At this time, I want to introduce Amina Flores-Becker, Deputy CAO in my office and appointed by the board to be in this role, and she's going to talk a little bit about what the county's doing now on this important issues. Amina?
Thank you, Paul, for the introduction, and thank you to everyone here that is spending time focusing on the issue of homelessness. What I would like to do is introduce a document that our office created in collaboration with the various departments that are on the front lines, providing the services, implementing the programs that are collectively addressing homelessness in our region, and that is this flyer. Our office created this flyer again with the input of the departments, and what it does is it is a high-level summary of the efforts that have been done in the county of Fresno over the last 5 years to attempt to address homelessness. Some of the programs that are on this flyer are the multi-agency access program or point program that is funded 100% by the county and sees over 1,000 unique clients every year and links them, folks that are unhoused, with various services including housing, navigation, food, mental health services, substance use disorder services. It also identifies the shelter beds in the county of Fresno that are funded by the Department of Social Services. And finally, it identifies the growing number of permanent supportive housing units that have been funded by our Department of Behavioral Health, which is a really important sector of housing. And these are housing units that are specifically for folks with serious mental illnesses that require extensive services, supportive services on site. So that is identified on this flyer, which will be posted on our website. It'll also be posted on our social media pages, and I believe you've all received a copy of today as well. So again, thank you all for the focus on this topic. There is plenty of work to do and plenty of challenges ahead, but I am confident that the county will continue to take immense efforts and strides towards addressing the far-reaching impacts of homelessness in our region. Now I'd like to introduce Supervisor and Vice Chairman Nathan Magzig, who has been passionate and active on this topic for a while. So Supervisor.
Thank you, Amina, and thank you all for being here today. And I wanted to focus in a little bit on collaboration, because when you deal with people who are experiencing homelessness, the way that you can be most effective is collaborating together. And I know there's been some stories recently about, maybe one city doing more than other groups, and I just want to kind of dispel some myths that are out there a little bit. So right now, when you take a look at homelessness and new housing units that are being created, I am not aware of housing units being created that really don't have the back-end support from the county. Our Department of Social Services, our Department of Public Health, our Department of Behavioral Health are all there to assist. Right now, home key projects, the county of Fresno had a home key project, and some of our neighboring cities have done several home key projects. Many of those applications require the county of Fresno to sign on as being supportive and being able to provide support through the form of behavioral health services for these units that the state has been so graciously funding right here in Fresno County. And so the county of Fresno is very committed. Earlier, Paul Nerlin talked a little bit about the 14-point plan that we had, that we've adopted, and now that's been refined down to a 7-point plan. All cities in the county of Fresno, as well as our neighboring county, Madera, has signed on to that plan, as well as their 2 cities and the Fresno-Madera Continuum of Care. So again, I'm one who believes that we can always do more as we work together. And really, resources are limited, and so we don't want to duplicate services. We do want to work together and collaborate so we can change as many lives as possible. Today, we took a vote as it related to trailers that the county of Fresno had in its possession, and I wanted to briefly just share with you that whole process, because there's been, again, some confusion about these trailers and how they were being used. So back in March of 2020, Cal OES gave the city of Fresno, I believe, 28 trailers. And in April of 2020, the city of Fresno reached out to the county because we were working together around COVID-19 and dealing with homeless at that time and making sure that our most vulnerable were being protected. And so the county and city worked together, and the county basically, or the city basically gave the county those trailers, and we worked to use those trailers as basically quarantine facilities for about 2 years. And so we worked with the city more recently, and we were unable to find a location that was suitable for utilizing those trailers. So today we decided to take a vote and actually allocate those remaining trailers to many of our community-based organizations that we work so closely with. And right now, when you hear about homelessness and resources the cities and counties are getting for homelessness, our hands and feet to deliver those services really are the community-based organizations that are doing just great work throughout the entire Central Valley. And some of our partners that we have with us here today, I know that we've got Katie Wilbur here from RH Community Builders. We have Zach Dara, who does great work at the Poverello House. And from the Fresno Rescue Mission, we have Matt Dildine. These 3 organizations, while they are not the only organizations dealing with the homeless community, these 3 work very closely with the county, and the county continues to not only enter into contracts, but give ARPA dollars. And these CBOs are going to be receiving some of the trailers today, and those trailers are going to be repurposed and used to serve the homeless right here in Fresno County. So at this time, I would like to invite forward Matt Dildine to speak a little bit about what his community-based organization is doing here in the Central Valley.
Thank you so much, Supervisor Magzig. Thank you for the opportunity to be here, and certainly for the vote that the Board of Supervisors took this morning. I'd just like to say from the outset, as you're doing this work, it's incredibly hard. It's incredibly hard because of what you see every day. And you're always in this constant process of trying to do more and figure out how to scratch and claw to gain more leverage over the problem that you're faced with every day. And oftentimes, as you're trying to row and kind of move these battleships in the right directions. At times working with the government can seem like you're trying to, like they're the current that you're trying to flow, that you're trying to sail against. and that there are obstacles in your way. But working with the county, they have very much been the wind at our sails. Each time when we've identified different needs or different things that we want to do or different problems that we're facing, the phone calls are always about how can we help, how can we figure out, even when government can be a bit bureaucratic, how can we find solutions to move this ball forward? And so, certainly the trailers were one of those when we're all in these capacity issues, whether that's dealing with the people that are living on the street, whether that's dealing with the problem of homeless families, with homeless children, with foster youth, with people in trafficking, to the refugee crisis. And so we were happy that the county voted as they did to provide these trailers. I believe the county has 25 trailers. The Fresno Mission will be getting 15 of those trailers, and we intended to use those trailers for a few different populations. The bulk of those trailers will be used for homeless families with children. That's certainly, we've existed, next year will be 75 years. And in 2019, we started seeing more people coming to us with children without. About half the people that are staying on one of our pillows tonight are under the age of 18. And so even Fresno, we are listed about 17th ranked nationally for chronic homelessness, but we're number 11 in terms of child homeless nationally. And so it's actually the fastest growing homeless population in the overall in the United States. And so the bulk of the trailers have been used for that purpose. But in addition to that, we intend to use 2 to 3 of the trailers for trafficking victims. 2 to 3 of the trailers will also be used for Ukrainian refugees. And then we hopefully will be opening a special shelter for homeless youth in the next month or two. And so we also anticipate possibly using the trailers if the demand is there for that location at our city center campus while we are looking to build additional housing. So thank you again to the county, to the Board of Supervisors for this, and we'll try and make you proud.
Now I'd like to invite any of our other supervisors to come up who would like to speak. Supervisor Brandau's already said he wants to be first.
All right.
You might be the only one.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So as you've heard today, the county took 2 votes on the issue of homelessness. Completely different things, but we had two things on our plate today on our agenda concerning homelessness. One was the at-home strategy that Graham so graciously came from CSAC to present to us, was adopted unanimously today. And then also the trailers, which you just heard Supervisor Magzig and Matt Dildine from the rescue mission, from the mission, talk about the trailers. So we took 2 votes today on issues related to homelessness. And this is just another example of the county getting things done. Now, recently and often, the county gets slandered by ignorant voices from Fresno City Hall. And they say we aren't good partners, or that we are slow and unresponsive. Last week, a council member said, we have 10 shelters, but the county doesn't have any. Well, not only is it not true, it's very misleading, and it shows how they misunderstand the role of the county and the role of the city. I just thought of a small illustration. I don't know if it's going to go over well in this press conference, but say this cell phone, the back of my cell phone, is one of these 10 hotels that the city purchased, right? So there's a hotel here, and there's beds, and there's a team that manages it. The city has participated in all of that. And by the way, as Supervisor Magzig said, so has the county. This happened with county support and approval and some county dollars. But it's not the role of the county to provide this hotel. It's not the role of the county to provide all of the beds in the hotel, although we do some of that work. And we've given lots of dollars through several of these departments to facilitate more beds for people in the homeless world and people that have those kind of needs. The role of the county is more specifically, inside this hotel are individuals who are living their lives. Many of them have mental health issues. Some of them have addiction issues. Some of them have family crisis issues. There's lots of issues in our community. And these individuals have a lot of those issues, and some of them have multiple issues. The role of the county continues to be to serve those individuals inside this hotel. We don't build hotels. That's not our role. And the city of Fresno can, completely take that on. And that's probably more within their wheelhouse. And that's a little bit about what Graham talked about today in the at-home strategies. We would get more done if we all discovered the lane that we're supposed to be in and stayed in that lane. The county knows its lane. All of the people sitting up here, the department heads, facilitate helping individual people in great stress and times of need in our community. And I believe we're doing a great job with it. Today, as we voted unanimously to support the at-home strategy, I was myself personally hopeful. It makes a lot of sense, Graham. It's very self-evident. There's a lot of common sense involved in it. But at the same time, I'm somewhat skeptical because I've seen locally people who prefer to promote their own political self-interest rather than an effective plan like this one that will make great change. So I just want to say I want to give kudos and props to all of the department heads who spend so much time. We have thousands of employees that are in the service of people in need in Fresno County, and we do a really good job at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you have some closing comments? No? Okay. Now we'll open it up for any questions, or if you'd like, also, don't forget, we have our department heads here as well that can tell you about some of the services that they provide as well. Okay. Seeing no questions, thank you very much.